Greetings and welcome to American History Today. I'm Thomas McGregor. There is no secret that we live in politically polarizing times. We seem divided by almost everything. In times like these, it's important, though, to remember how far we've come so that we don't go back and repeat what we've already done. So let's begin our journey on July 2nd, 1964. U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson signs into law the historic Civil Rights Act in a nationally televised ceremony at the White House. Also, in the landmark 1954 case Brown v. Board of Education, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that radical segregation in schools was completely unconstitutional. The 10 years that followed saw great strides for the African American civil rights movement, as nonviolent demonstrations won thousands of supporters to the cause. Memorable landmarks in the struggle included the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, sparked by the refusal of Alabama resident Rosa Parks to give up her seat on a city bus to a white woman, and the famous "I Have a Dream" speech by Dr. Martin Luther King at a rally of hundreds of thousands in Washington, D.C. in 1963. As the strength of the civil rights movement grew, John F. Kennedy made passage of a new civil rights bill, one of the platforms of his successful 1960 presidential campaign. As Kennedy's vice president, Johnson served as the chairman of the president's Committee on Equal Employment Opportunities. After Kennedy was assassinated in November of 1963, Johnson vowed to carry out his proposals for civil rights reform. The Civil Rights Act fought tough opposition in the House and lengthy and really heated debate in the Senate before being approved in July 1964. For the signing of this historic legislation, Johnson invited hundreds of guests to the televised ceremony in the White House East Room. After using more than 75 pens to sign the bill, he gave them away as mementos of the historic occasion in accordance with tradition. One of the first pens went to Martin Luther King, leader of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, who called it one of his most cherished possessions. Today, we have the Black Lives Matter group that stages nationwide demonstrations seeking what they claim to be justice for African Americans treated unfairly by police officers. Black Lives Matter, or BLM, has arisen as a social movement in response to the killing of unarmed African Americans. It has been criticized by some as being too confrontational and divisive and even violent. And the founding is evidence of this. Founded in 2013, BLM's aim has been to cause division under the signal virtuing guise of free speech, black reparations, and being a, quote, civil rights movement itself. But Dr. Luther King, Rosa Parks, and all the peaceful protesters from 1964, the movement in 1964, would definitely denounce BLM and all their efforts. Why? Because they are an anti-American, violent, and even Marxist organization parading around as being a civil rights group, and admittedly so. In 2015, a video surfaced online of the founders actually proclaiming that they were, quote, trained Marxists. This is what they said. They said, "We are trained Marxists. We are super versed on ideological theories, and I think that what we really tried to do with Black Lives Matter is build a movement that could be utilized by many, many black folk." This is Patrisse Cullors, co-founder of BLM, and this is in an interview with Jared Ball of the Real News Network. As trained Marxists, or communists, because that's what that is, they are not afraid to spark division and even violence, which they actually have done. In every demonstration where Black Lives Matter members are part, there has been violence. Now, they will argue that it's due to retaliation from police and Department of Public Safety officials, but wait, are we, a society, are we supposed to allow small militia groups to railroad laws that were put into place to serve and protect the greater whole of our communities? Are we to allow radical and violent actions, in some cases where violence and taunting of police was started by BLM members, to outweigh the value of public safety, commerce, keeping businesses from being destroyed, and the very stabilization of the fabric of our society because someone or some group is mad? There are questions, and these are questions that the American people need to do some deep soul searching in order to answer honestly. I have a challenge for all the Black Lives Matter enthusiasts. Act like Dr. Martin Luther King. Act like Rosa Parks. You don't have to be silent, and you can have a voice without hurting anyone. And if you are truly serious about making change, act like Dr. Ben Carson. He's an American politician, public servant, author, husband, son, father, and retired neurosurgeon who served as the 17th United States Secretary of Housing and Urban Development since 2017. You see, he's someone that hasn't blamed other people for his problems, but instead someone who has made America the amazing and diverse place we all know and love it to be. And until next time, explore history, share history, and make history.